My founder has let me be the front man for his next debate challenge to Michael McCormack, member for Riverina and Parliamentary Secretary to the Finance Minister. I'm very keen, but I don't have much experience.
That was my investigative journalist speaking. Now this is me. I found a financial political story in which the first portion proved a point for me. The next part appeared to be controversial. I talked it over with my investigative journalist and we agreed to copy it to you word for word. For most of my life I was really proud of Australia. My research identified 4 political decisions which are killing the Valencia orange industry. But the first decision in 1970, the start of tariff reduction, was and still is policy of both major parties, is killing Australia. My 2 published books shown here detailed my research findings. Michael will not talk to me and will not pass messages on to Joe Hockey and Matthias Cormann. Whenever Joe Hockey said that Australia always needed to borrow from overseas, I disagreed and posted that on Facebook and YouTube, but so far the message has not got through. Here is my chance. Greg Canavan was prepared to write it and I am prepared to pass it on. To me, 1970, just off the page, was the start of the rot. My memory was that Australia rarely borrowed because we did not have to. This chart from the Australian Bureau of Statistics shows the current account. The report by Greg in the Daily Reckoning Australia of the 12th of June 2015 started discussing Greece and their current account, which he described in this way. The current account represents the trade balance plus net earnings from foreign investments. In Greece's case, the current account is negatively impacted by a trade deficit. Greg then went on to discuss Australia and Joe Hockey. The chart he is referring to is shown now. The first item to note is the second paragraph in what follows. But the problem is leaving a national currency and monetary policy in the hands of self-serving bureaucrats and politicians. Then you end up with a situation like we have in Australia, that we are still running 100 billion quarterly deficits after enjoying the highest commodity boom in history. Should be deeply concerning, but it doesn't seem to be. Note that just off the page, 1970 did not have any problems. We did not have to borrow at that stage, and that's the message I want to get through to Joe. In fact, it hasn't been cool to worry about the current account since Paul Keating raised the Banana Republic issue back in 1985. I predict in the next few years the Banana Republic will be back on the agenda. No one really seems to think it's a big deal right now, and it isn't until it is, and it will be at some point. It's just that no one knows where that point is. When a nation runs a current account deficit, by definition it must run a capital account surplus too. This is just another way of saying foreigners finance our excessive consumption. The thing is, we have no control where the capital goes. So foreign capital coming in and buying up residential property and agricultural land is a direct result of Australia running a current account deficit and consuming more than it produces. Please note, Joe. In turn, this is a direct result of butchering our manufacturing industry. Now, this is me talking. I worked in construction and manufacturing, and from 1970, when we started to reduce tariffs, I saw this being killed with car manufacturer finishing in 2016. It'll go further down still. This is as a direct result of reduction in tariffs, leading on to universal free trade, leading on to Trans-Pacific Partnership. I am prepared to debate this any time with anyone. This is what is killing our country. Now, back to Greg. And relying exclusively on digging up dirt and sending it to China for our export income. Now that has failed, we export our land and sell out our young instead. Smart, hey? Adele Ferguson wrote about this the other day in The Age. With the mining boom over and the economy struggling to transition, they keep talking about transition, but transition to where? Transition state and federal governments need to ask themselves why the so-called clever country ranks 116th out of 142 countries when it comes to converting research dollars into innovation and commercial success. Put into context, the OECD estimates that Australia spent a minuscule 0.227% of GDP on research and development in manufacturing in 2011, compared with 1.29% for the US and 1.33% for Germany. Why does Australia rank so low? Because politicians are too busy looking at their property portfolios to give a damn about the long-term future of this country. This is me again. The damning report on Joe Hockey is detailed in print adjoining this film clip. It ends up with Greg saying, "I don't begrudge anyone the opportunity to work hard and build wealth. If they want to do so via a property portfolio, go for it. But when the nation's treasurer is so badly conflicted and stands to gain so much from continued gains in property prices, what hope is there of reform that improves the market for all Australians?" Think about it. Better still, do something about it. Go to your member. Get him to go to Joe. Go to Joe directly. Do it on social media. Do it in whatever way possible. Australia needs your help.